Okay. And people online, I'm going to be addressing any questions or concerns you have today. So while you're muted, just go ahead and type away in the chat box. Wait, who already? Brandon, you're good. I just read your text. Everything's good. Good. All right. So I got some general announcements. Get some good times. Just let me get things set up. We're recording. All right. Dwight, I'm going to make you. Is there a way I can record the meeting if I? Yeah, I'm recording, man. Yes. Okay. So
there should be a setup that allows multiple people to share screens.
Yeah. I'm actually just going to make you a co-host to make this easy. Okay. So you have all full privileges to this room.
Excellent.
Okay. All right then. Let me move out of the way. Hey, Roxanne. Good. Okay, so we're gonna get started with meeting. People are probably gonna trickle in. I'll do some announcements, business. First of all, we'll be waiting for you actually. There were people who told me to start without you, and I said disrespect. Not gonna happen. Okay. So today's regular club meeting. We got business to share, good things happening. First and foremost, last week's workshop, PVC got a lot of great feedback from that workshop. There was a lot of positive comments. We got a 4.5 out of 5 rating. A lot of things, and the suggestions that were given, we can only make that workshop better in the future. So everybody, DVC, great ideas. We came together. Major success. I'm very proud of our club. We've definitely been asked to do an encore. I'm gonna have to talk to Dr. Spacetta a little more, whether it's this semester or next semester. This workshop was in such popular demand that we have to, without a doubt, do it again within the next 10 months. Okay, so I'll work out those details. Again, you guys spread the word. You guys made this a very successful event because even in the surveys, people were talking about, I told my professor and my professor told my class, and things just kept getting fanned out. And sadly, on the day of event, some of you were there, we had like 20 people come that we had no seats for. So we'll figure that out next time too. I do feel that room environment, I don't want, personally, we can have really big rooms. I can get them somehow. I just feel like that takes away from the personal level. And there was a lot of personal attention given in that workshop, and people commented that it was easy to ask the question. Any troubles I had were addressed right away. I got those types of feedbacks, so I really like that. They did suggest though, for the brand new people to R, they wanted probably a 30-minute extension to the workshop and go a little more on RR basics again. Let's do a little more basic array structure. Let's do a little more intro before going into the visuals. But again, wasn't negative. That was just something that they were like, I understand this was kind of to get my feet wet and up and going, but that would have been awesome to have too. So I think we'll make the workshop maybe 30 minutes longer with a little more hands-on. Let's just touch R. Let's get comfortable with these basic array structures. So that was a great idea. In regards to your guys who were members, I did talk to you, but you've had a week to rethink about ideas. Is there something you felt the workshop could have had to make it even more better? Should we do this again soon or within the next 10 months? I did talk to people about just general political structure. I'm talking about content-wise. Something you thought would have been extra cool. It came to your mind later within the last 7 days.
Want more of them.
You just want more of them?
I just want more of them.
They are a lot of work.
That's all I have for
They are a lot of work. They are not easy to put together. No, that's what we want. We want this club to be a hub for people who want more of them. That was our very first workshop. That repository is going to be spread to next year's club and the years after and the years after. So I'm hoping easily this club can be known as a free workshop a semester kind of club that says, let me help you out. And given how each semester is structured a little different on how curriculums are, some workshops be more appropriate in the fall compared to other workshops more appropriate in the spring. Well, again, this club we're new. We're new, we're successful, and we're known. And that's a great start to what can happen for the future and how we can share the love of visuals to others. Again, somebody asked me, they're all like, can you give me a general vibe of Data Visualization Club and its purpose? And the easiest explanation I had for them was, we're a networking club. We're a club that's not going to teach you how to be an expert at anything. We're a club that's going to have a reference hub or a resource hub for you to say, you know what, this is something I never knew existed, and we'll show it to you. We won't, again, do a lot with it, but you'll know for a fact this existed and you've seen somebody do something relevant. So that later on, 6 months from now, 10 months from now, you could come back and be like, DVC, I remember we had a workshop on 3D plots. Can you give me some information or possibly a person to talk to? I really need to use them right now. And that's what we did. We made it so you had a way to start on your venture to become a professional in that type of visual. So that's what our club is. We are that resource to say, we're going to show you this and this and this. And I have plans for people to show you animation this semester, Shiny. I've got people to show us Adobe visualizations. So I don't know these platforms. I've never used them. But I'm going to be excited to know they exist, because maybe there is a day that I will need to use them and I'll know exactly who to talk to. And they will know exactly which resources are best for me to get started. Landon, come on, man. Come on, little homie. Come on. Come on. This is Landon. He is the youngest member of DVC. Okay?
I'm out of here.
He is, that's right, little man. You tell them, learn your plots. That's right. He's like, this way and that way. He knows how to do it, okay? My daughter was once the youngest member of DVC. Landon now took that title away from her. It's all good. Up-and-coming events, CCAM is definitely having upcoming workshops. So we're partnered through CCAM. We are definitely partnered through BDAC. And we are hopefully very shortly soon going to be partnered with the Graphics Design Club in the art department. And so they've got a world of visualizations. They've got entire curriculums on do's and don'ts that us science people don't really get. We're about the numbers and the math. They're about the ums and ahs, the whys, the nots, the color schemes and business like that. And they have a world of the business to teach us. So yes, Michelle.
If you haven't gotten a notification already, we're going to be forwarding CCAM Python workshop information, which is coming up next. It's going to be 1 to 5 p.m. on Friday, April 6th. And registration is required as with our workshop.
Yes. And so definitely when you do any workshops with CCAM, please RSVP through whatever source they told you to do so. And that way you make sure you have a seat. Michelle, you covered my first announcement. Thank you. No, rock on. We actually will be forwarding that flyer to you, all members. But Michelle has definitely touched in something that's important. CCAM wants us to Python. Now, again, they're not going to be doing, it's possible to have a visual aspect to it, but there won't be a visual focus to that workshop. I just want to throw that up front. But because we're partnered with through them, we support them 110 in everything they do. Next.
The title of it is Introduction to Programming, Data Visualization, and Fitting with Python.
Oh, they
So
actually.
there will definitely be some sort of data visualization.
Okay.
I just don't know how much.
When I talked to them 3 weeks ago, we didn't have that piece. That's cool to know. Okay, cool.
April 6th.
So, April 6th, what time?
April 6th, 1 to 5 p.m. to Friday. And it's in SGNH, so Halo,
Yes.
in 1502.
That meeting, we actually have a club meeting that evening as well. It'll start at, I'm probably going to make it 5:15 then.
It'll start after the workshop.
Yeah, it'll start after their workshop, so possibly at 5:30 start that night. Because we have Kevin Nichols coming to talk to us on how to use the package Magic in R. And that is a flip-book way to animate graphics. You'll have a plot, but they'll make it look 200 different ways, just like the old cartoon, and then you flip it through, but the Magic Packs is doing it so fast that all of a sudden you're like, I saw that animation, it was cool. So on our regular club meeting that night, Kevin Nichols is going to be teaching us the ins and outs of that or at least the basics of what it can do. Again, will we become masters that night? Probably not, but at least we'll have that resource to know how it starts and who to talk to whenever we want to learn more about it. Carnival. So, I don't know if you guys have heard of the math and science upcoming poster. What's the official title? Dwight? It's upside. I left it upstairs. There's a poster. Do you know what I'm talking? You guys know what I'm talking about? It's been
NSM Symposium?
Yeah, the NSM Symposium. That's what I was looking for. That's going to be happening March 22nd. A lot of people are going to support their research. So if you know people who have research and they want to display their research, that's always good on CVs. It's always good on resumes. Just be like, I entered this research. I displayed my research. This is, always a way to credit yourself. That's being hosted by the College of Natural Science and Mathematics. I will be taking lead on that usually during the actual poster presentation. There is also kind of a tour around the day before. DVC is probably not going to be doing too much with that piece. We're going to let the other clubs take charge. However, the carnival piece, which is 2 days before this symposium, they're going to be hosting a carnival down here on the Planetary Walk. And they're just going to, we're hyping up what we do. DVC is definitely, we have a fun thought. We have a fun thought, and this is our fun thought, and I wanted to share it with the group because how we can make this even, I'm going to use the word funner. Okay, this is going to be a word tonight. The word funner is how we think we can make this a cool visual. This might be, not to date myself, but it's just an older show. Monty Hall. We ever heard of the Monty Hall problem, ladies and gentlemen? Okay, let me give you a breakdown of this problem. Monty Hall is a game show, or he was a game show host, okay? And what happened is he'd have like a car, a really ridiculous.
Okay, let's back up. Has anybody watched the daytime TV show Let's Make a Deal? Anybody seen that? Because that's still on, right? Except way back in the day, it was hosted by this guy named Monty Hall, and I think they might still do this. I'm not sure.
I would not know about that, unfortunately. The idea, though, is there's 3 doors or 3 boxes. We're going to be using boxes, okay, because it's a carnival. We don't have doors. There's going to be a fabulous prize behind one of these doors. So I'll say, hung. A brand new car is behind one of these. Go ahead and pick. 2, okay, sweet. Okay. And then what happens is the game show host goes up to them, he goes up to Hung, he's like, Hung, I'll tell you this. One did not have the car. And Hung's all like, hell yeah. That's what I wanted to hear. But then, it's all like, okay, shake off the anticipation. He goes, Hung, I'm going to give you a choice right now. Right now, I'll let you choose the other door if you would like to give up the door number. And now it's Hong's decision. Do I keep what I picked? Or do I choose the other door? What's the decision, Hong?
I think I thought somewhere that the chance would be higher if I choose the other one.
And that's correct. There is actually a 2/3 probability of you winning the prize if you are to switch your decision after I do that. What we can do at DVC is during this carnival, obviously I can have 3 boxes, I can have a Snicker under one. I mean, it's carnival, it's supposed to be fun, it's supposed to give away prizes, things like that, But we can display live data during the carnival, people who kept their choice and lost, people who kept their choice in one, people who changed their choice in one. And all of a sudden, throughout the carnival, the data will start showing what you should be doing in this game. And that's just a fun way, it's a carnival, but it's a fun way for us to show we use visuals to make better decisions in life. And this is people like winning things. And then all of a sudden, towards the end of the carnival, people are like, I'm going to change. I don't know what the hell this means, but it's looking like these people are winning more. I want to be these people. And so that's kind of how I think we're going to go about this carnival game. So I was talking with Dr. Wynn. What are cool ways we think we can display this type of data or this to others that you think they would like? Might be easy, it could be complex. Has anybody seen something like this in the past where they thought, oh, I was really cool to see something of this nature and this is how they did it? We're all about open minds at this moment. Obviously, we can make this super basic, but I figure we're DVC and it's not for another month. So why not find something cool, exciting, different? So I'm going to leave this to ponder to our March 9th meeting. And I definitely want you to just go out, think about it. See, talk to your professors, ask this question. This makes you look smart when you ask other people these types of things. They make you stand out amongst others. And I want that for our club because you are doing something that others are not doing. So we will come together 2 weeks from now, March 9th, and kind of think of what are the better ways. Play around. Everybody has cool things. Sometimes simple is good, guys. I want to let you know that up front. I have seen complex plots that don't help at all. They're too complex. Go with our gut instinct, okay? And this is what we do as visualists. We just have fun with numbers. Plus, it's a cool idea. It's a cool idea. And I definitely might need some volunteers. I know the 2 people have to man it, for sure. 1 person to actually play the game with the people at the carnival, and a person to input the data so that we can visualize the data at live time. So but again, anybody who knows they're on campus, Tuesdays between 10 and 1, I think it's 10 to 1. Do we have any members, just so I can get your name, so Megan can write down your names just in case we need some extra help or volunteers? Say what? Excuse me.
Which date is it?
March 20th.
It's the Tuesday before spring break.
Yeah.
I'll be on campus, but it'll have to be like early, like at 10 to 11.
Okay, so the first hour possibly?
Yeah.
And I'm thinking that's when we're going to need the most help. The initial setup kind of deal.
Yeah.
Will you take his name? This is Megan. Oh, officers, I'm so sorry. I need to introduce people. Holy moly. Let's start with tonight's feature presentation. This is Dr. Wynn. Please give him a round of applause for coming here and sharing his love with you guys. For those of you who don't formally know me, my name is Randall. I am the club president. In back, we have the club vice president. That is Michelle. She is actually here from 3-hour drive.
Yeah, roughly.
Yeah.
Traffic.
So she lives 3 hours away, and she normally takes care of all our online aspects of the club. She's here today in person. This is a very special treat. Make sure you give her a hug. Okay. Miss Megan, that is our club secretary / treasurer. So anybody who's never met this lovely lady, you need to become friends with her. She's amazing. And we have Rico. Rico is our social event coordinator. He's in charge. He makes us look good. He makes us look good. Taha is our webmaster, who's making things so much convenient for you in regards to the resources we provide. He will be here later today. When he comes in, we want you to give him a round of applause. He's worked really hard on our webpage lately to making it happen. So, okay, I forgot about introductions. In regard to general club participation, guys, we're a free club, but we're a club that celebrates the little bits. If you have made a plot and you're like, that's the first time I ever did that, you tell me. We're going to get celebrated because you're doing things with visuals that you've never done before. And it doesn't matter if it's tiny. I remember the first time I put math type in the title of a plot. Okay? We want to share those types of things because then at that point too, you get to start recognizing who's doing similar things to you at the same time. I've done this and this and this and this and this, and sometimes you're like, well, it's hard to approach Randall maybe. I try not to get that vibe, but maybe it's just, but when somebody else did something, you were like, I just needed to learn how to do that. You go like, I'm gonna go talk to that person right after club. They're gonna know exactly my struggles. They're the right person to talk to in this exact moment. I want that for our club. Okay, so anything you're doing, little or small, you can talk every meeting if you want. Every time you do a new plot, every time we're gonna celebrate you. That is how my club works, and that is how we participate with each other because we share. Okay. Graphic design club, I already talked about that. That's our big business. We've got up and coming. I'm hoping in our next meeting 2 weeks from now, I do want to discuss this just in case. 2 weeks from now is what we call an open club meeting. I want to have general ideas of what it is you would like to see 2 weeks from now. If you had a choice to see something visual 2 weeks from now, what would it be? What's something interesting you're learning right now that could possibly help you? We do have a speaker from Graphics Design Club who's scheduled for that meeting, but I do like to cover my bases because if she cancels on me, always knows that. So let's start, club. What is it you would like to see at our next club meeting if I was to have a specific topic brought to the club meeting?
I'll share with you what my struggles are right now.
Sure, go for it. What would
I'm okay, I think, at our markdown, but like I had trouble today knitting it to a PDF with the data input that I had.
Markdown.
So like, yeah, markdown is a lot of different ways you have to put this stuff in there in order to knit it correctly.
Okay, yeah, because putting your plots in a PDF or a Word document, that's a useful skill. I mean, you're presenting your work. Okay.
Yeah, I use R Markdown, and then it looks good on the web page, I guess, format. But once you do PDF, it messes up the whole format.
Yeah.
Or I don't know how to
Just
get
the
it.
differences
Problem. Sad.
between-
My goodness. Okay, what else? Other ideas, club? Other things you've been working with or would like to see? GG plots are always good. We can never go wrong with GG plot. Absolutely.
We were gonna do a workshop.
We were,
May not get to.
but because of Graphic Design Club and the timing in their world, it's probably a better long-term plan to merge our clubs. Because what Graphic Design Club also has in mind with us is they want to do a collab or a workshop where it's like Graphics Design Club wants to show DVC some cool viz, and DVC wants to show graphic design some cool viz, and we do it in one like 2-hour get together where all of our members are in the same place kind of deal. So, and then from there, we're hoping to, just like with BDAC is our sister club. We love BDAC. We want to do those types of things with Graphic Design Club too. So more than likely, this workshop is going to be put on hold so that we can merge with Graphic Design Club. Question? No comment? Something you'd like to see? Whatever you want, man. That was only
Color.
Color?
There are so many different packages for color, both for the basic package, for GG plots, how to customize it, do color palettes. Because that's one of the big things that people want is color. And they don't want the standard boring options. Because that's the first thing people will notice that'll make your graph plot or pop.
So here's what I'm thinking then. I need to find somebody who might have a little more expertise. I would like that in general. But we have club meetings where we come and explore together. There have been club meetings where nobody has done anything, the topic at hand. And together we built something. In December, we did a networking club, a meeting all about network plots. And no one person had ever done a network plot. No one. And Hillary, 3 weeks later, started doing these art plots. And they were gorgeous. But she wanted to go more. Again, our club brings together the basics, the introduction, the resource to get better. And then she went and got better. And I guarantee you, I have not met anybody in our club who can do network plots better than her. just because she put in the time. So I'm thinking that's what we might do then. If we don't have the woman from Graphic Design Club come talk to us, we'll do a together, let's learn better techniques with arm markdown or color, depending on who I can get to specialize in. Sound good, club? I'm gonna let the main speaker come up and teach us about Rguroo. Again, give him another round of applause, please. Did you have an account before this?
Yeah.
Okay, use that now.
It's expired. It's only a 1 year thing.
For those of you who are using Rguroo for the first time, here's what I've done. Give me your email accounts, all of you. You log into Rguroo, use your email account as your login, and your password is your first name, lowercase, 1, 2, 3.
Dr. Wayne, Dr. Wayne. What do I do? Mine's expired.
What do you, oh,
It won't let me.
Expired.
yeah.
Create a new one on the spot.
Did you try this version?
Yeah.
Okay, and the old version didn't work either. Fine, gum.
The password and everything.
I'll have to get you a new one tomorrow. I mean,
What do you do?
if we have Rguroo problems today, you do have to let Miss Megan know. Give her your name, your email. I will have to talk to the guy in charge, and he will fix it. But in general, unfortunately, it's out of my hands to get it done today, but he will fix it within a 48-hour period. All right, takeaways.
So I wanted to start with an introduction to Rguroo and how it does data visualization. Some of us have seen Rguroo in our Math 120 or 338. But for a lot of us who this is new, I wanted to briefly cover the philosophy behind the development of Rguroo. And the main philosophy is to get coding out of the way of what statistics is really about, which is asking and answering good questions involving data. And related to this is the idea that people know what they want to do, but they don't know how to do it. And so what we're trying to do is make things point and click and make things arranged in a way that makes sense to people who are learning statistics for the first time, which can be somebody in a class, it could be somebody who's a data analyst who's coming to that from a different field. In industry, it could be somebody who has to make database decisions but has no formal training in statistics. None of these people are going to go pick up R and start coding. Right? They're going to use maybe Excel, if that. Right? And what we want to do is provide something that's specialized for making statistical decisions, whereas Excel is more of a Swiss Army knife. Along with that, we have this idea that all analysis should be customizable for professional presentation. Everything that you do in Rguroo, you should be able to save and insert into a Word document or insert into a PDF, or save as PDF. And then this isn't so much about the graphics part of Rguroo, but we believe that a major part of statistical software going forward is allowing people to interpret their analysis as it's being created. You don't have to go to your subject matter expert and go, what the heck is my p-value? So I thought I would show you a comparison between what we did last week in the workshop and what I did with Rguroo. So we have the bar plot that we did from the social network data, and I did the Rguroo default. You can see that for some reason D202 did not show up in the R default version. There was one person with that, and I'm still not sure why, what the heck is going on with that. Right? But you can see that by default, Rguroo gives you, for bar plots, axis titles, and it makes every bar a different color. Now, I went in, and all of this is point and click or drag and drop customization, as opposed to all the code that was done with the R customization. And see, I have the same colors, more or less. I had to type those in, but that works. You can see that I added the counts in each group, and I actually moved my factors around, right? My bars, I didn't just ordered from smallest to largest, I ordered from smallest to largest, but then I said, well, other and none should really be at the end. And that was all drag and drop. For box plots, we have the R default versus the Rguroo default. And these two things look almost exactly the same, and except again, Rguroo gives everything a nice colored box by default. And here's the customization. See, again, it's almost identical, except I did some things with changing one of the boxes to yellow. I've also added the little red diamond here, and that shows the location of the meat. And again, all of this was point and click, except for things like actually having to type in the title. Here's histograms. The R default has those really ugly names. Okay? The Rguroo default knows enough to not put data set $ variable, it just puts the variable. In R, you can actually customize the bars individually. Rguroo doesn't have that ability yet. But with just a couple of clicks, you could add a normal curve, add a density curve, add the percentage within each group.
Dr.
We'll have that access on our webpage.
Okay, is this better?
Yeah. Just because my mic
Okay.
is on, and I realized.
Okay, yeah. And then last but not least, I wanted to do a comparison to scatter plots because I think this is where you get some really cool visualizations with just a few clicks that would take quite a bit of code to do in R. So here's our default scatter plots. And there's not a ton of difference between these two things, except again, Rguroo is smart enough not to put the dataset name in there. There's the customization in R, and that's what I was able to do with Rguroo. Right? With just a couple of clicks, I was able to say, well, I want to make female versus male students different, right? And I want to plot using the lowest curve a comparison between the two groups as a growth chart. And again, none of this required me to write any R code. The only typing I did was typing the title and the axis labels and typing some color names. So what I'd like to do now is actually open up Rguroo. Okay. You want to start by going to www.rguroo.com. We just, and we're very excited about this, put up the rough draft of our user guide. The rough draft is up there. It is by no means a final draft. There's a few sections missing. There's a few sections that refer to things that you can't actually access yet because we haven't fully tested them. But you know, everything that you could possibly want to know about Rguroo is somewhere in there. And this is on our website under Learn. We are also producing some video tutorials. And yeah, you can't see it.
Simply go to rguroo.com.
Okay. So here we go. When was this created? Is this new or old? This is old. Hold on. Okay. So I think this is a new one. This is just the 2-minute intro video.
Hello, welcome to Rguroo, a software that unleashes the power of R on the cloud by simple point and clicks. In this video, I will give a general overview of Rguroo and its capabilities. In order to use Rguroo, you simply go to rguroo.com on your web browser. No software installation is required. While any browser should run Rguroo, Firefox is the recommended browser.
That's outdated. It's Chrome now, but Firefox still works.
To log in, click on Log In the top right of your screen.
Okay.
A new tab should open where you put your username and password and press login. Now we have entered Rguroo. You will see the welcome message with your name. For example,
Okay.
if your name is John.
So I'm going to pause that because at this point, that's an old video tutorial. Okay. But hopefully you did learn from that tutorial how to log in. You click the login button, you log in, and you type in your password. And it should say, welcome somebody. If it doesn't, then something really weird happened. Or you're like Jose and your account expired. So to get data in, you'll see 4 tabs on the left. They say data, plots, analytics, and probability. Probability is going to have a slightly different name change once we put some more functions in. But basically, data is about importing data and manipulating and cleaning data. Plots is, well, it's what it says on the tin. Analytics is any kind of analytical procedure that you want to perform on the data. Right now, we have our basics of mean and proportion inference, linear regression, and a tabulation module. In the coming weeks, we'll be including several more analysis to the point where we can make it a comprehensive. Everything taught in Math 338 is going to be with Rguroo.
Okay.
Yeah.
Even up to ANOVAs?
Yep. Probability is going to, again, be renamed to probability and simulation. Right now, all we have is a continuous distribution calculator, but in the next update, we will have a very sophisticated simulation machine where you can actually simulate a number of different runs from whatever distribution you want, as long as it's something R recognizes, and be able to compute whatever statistics you want from those samples. So it's a really powerful simulation engine. It's all point and click. I'm going to start by walking you guys through how to import your data. Okay. If you have any of the CSV files from last Friday, you want to click Data Import in the Data section and click Data Frame. And you'll go find your file. And I have no idea where your files are, and I don't have any of those CSV files on this computer. So I've just used an example Florida restaurants data set. And you can change the name. I would highly recommend that if it's a big, long name that you don't care about. Right? Make it something informative but short. And then you're going to click Upload. These boxes down here are all options for importing in with base R. There's no fancy read R or read Excel or Rio packages. Actually, I take that back. We are using Rio to upload Excel files.
Yeah, these could be text files. These could be.
Yeah, right now we're limited to pretty much text and Excel files. Text of some kind in Excel.
And those come from direct web pages.
Yeah, yeah, you can pull in anything from URLs.
Yeah, you can pull in anything.
Okay. But once you have that, you can click Upload. I clicked Cancel because I already uploaded things. Okay. Or the other cool thing is we have a repository of a ton of data sets for you to play with. We have all the data sets that come with a number of different R packages. So last Friday, we used Swiss from the psych, was it the psych package?
No, I thought Swiss was base.
Swiss was base?
You know what? I could be.
Well, we have that as well. We have base. And let me see if it's in base. Yep, it's in base. Yeah. So you can filter by the repository name. And once you select a repository, which is at this point mostly R package data sets, we do have some data sets that come with the 120 and 338 books that we're using right now. except they're not always the most informative. So if you know what EG05-02 calls 80 is, be my guest to work with it. That's it from the 338 book. This is a little bit nicer from the 120 book, which has iPod songs. That's a little bit more informative. We also have the data sets from the 120 set of notes. And then we're starting to build a set of Rguroo example data sets that are sometimes identical to other data sets in here. Sometimes they're data sets that somebody on the Rguroo team has curated as examples. At some point, hopefully relatively soon, all of the example data sets that are used in the user guide will go in that repository so that people can actually work through the examples in the user guide on their own. Okay. I'm going to import the car data from the repository, and I've already imported this, so I'm going to hit close. Okay, but that's what we're going to work with for the next, I don't know, 15, 20 minutes until we have to leave. And since we only have 15 or 20 minutes, and I'd like you guys to actually get some experience playing around with it, I'm going to start with one simple plot and let you guys play around with things. So Rguroo is nice. If you remember the name of your data set, you can type it in the filter box and it will find it for you.
And also the nice thing about, you said that it's always saved permanently?
It is, yeah, it's cloud storage.
Yeah, once you load it, it's loaded.
Yeah, so there is a limit on how much you can upload at once, but I've uploaded and worked with like 6 megabyte files with Rguroo. So as long as you just wait for it to upload, you're okay. I don't know whether there's a user account storage cap right now.
You gotta understand that 6 megabyte files, it's a lot of data.
Yeah.
So
yeah, that's almost 20,000 rows.
that easily. So, but again, as he said, it will do it. I'm just letting you know, we don't tend.
We don't tend to get that big data in statistics.
No.
It's not going to work for big data applications. I'm just telling you right now. But for almost anything that you would do that doesn't involve big data, Rguroo can take care of it. So now I'm going to go to plots. And if you click create plot, well, now it has 6 different types of plots with a little icon that's supposed to represent what you're actually doing in the plot. I would not go to stem and leaf because that's just running our stem and leaf on the back end, and it's really not the easiest thing to interpret. We are in the process of rewriting stem and leaf so that it actually is informative, but that's going to be probably not for another couple of updates. So I'm going to go to scatterplot because I think that that's the most advanced set of stuff we have. And if you typed in car data in your filter, well, now that's the only data set that you can select to work with, which is really nice when you're like me and you have a ton of data in your data section. Now, in this example, I'm going to look at the relationship between horsepower and MPG. So you'll notice I don't have to do that funny R formula thing, right? It's just, what is your X? What is your Y? And I'll put in a type.
If you're having trouble with Rguroo, just raise your hand right now just to make sure I can help you. Okay,
Yeah. Yeah, if you, yeah, car data. So just scroll all the way to the bottom with the Rguroo data sets and then get car data. Okay. And now, because we've gone to these workshops and we're DVC, we probably want to put in informative title, x-axis, y-axis labels. Of course, this being Rguroo and not R, you don't have to remember main equals whatever. Just says, oh, I want a title. I'm going to put the title in. Okay, same thing with the x-axis and y-axis. Once you're done setting things up, you click the I button and it previews. And you will get what you wanted. And if you like it, you can type in a name in this box here and save it. And now that plot and all of its specifications are saved to the cloud in Rguroo as well. So you can come back to this and edit it. So I've closed out of that. I'm going to go back into my plots menu. I'm going to try to find it, and I'm going to bring it back up. I brought it back up, and I can continue working on it. So I've looked at this, and I go, well, I know that's not linear. Maybe I want to try linearizing it, right? So I'm going to try a log-log plot. I'm going to do log of y versus log of x. In Rguroo, I go back and I click on the Basics menu, which brings up the dialog that I started with. And now in this function window, I'll type log of horsepower and log of MPG. So I can put functions in. The only thing is I can't just click from the drop-down and select which variable I want. I actually have to tell it some R code, right? Not very advanced R code. I'm just telling it I want to do a log transformation.
And transformations in general, if you want to talk more about transformations with ABC members, we'll talk to you when the best time for a square root transformation or a square transformation. We can talk about these. But the whole point that he's doing right now, just to emphasize where he's going with this, he manipulated the data, so now it became a linear, as you can clearly see, that's a negative linear relationship.
It's more linear. They're certainly more linear than it was.
Right? That's for sure.
Good enough that I can put a line in there and nobody's going to question it. And in fact, if I click back on my basics and I click LS line, it'll throw the least squares line in.
That's useful.
One click, just like in Excel.
It gives the formula too, doesn't it?
Not with what's on right now.
Okay.
I think in 1 or 2 updates it will.
I remember Maury saying.
Yeah, it's coming. But there's a lot of stuff that's coming that is in the backlog. Yeah. How did I do multiple?
Right.
How does it do multiple regression?
Right there.
It does. You go in analytics, do regression, and you
We just
do
got someone's
multiple.
homework done. All right. Heck yeah. Celebration.
So I've got this, and I've got my nice least squares line in, but I'd like to see which of those guys are domestic cars and which of those guys are imports. So I'll go back in my basics, and in factor, I'm going to click type, because that's domestic and import. Right, that's what my data set tells me. And now I have blue circles that represent domestic cars, and orange triangles that represent imports. And I'm going to do one more thing, which is very nice with Rguroo. I click the outliers button, and I'm going to identify potential outliers. And I've clicked the drop-down menu and selected Make Model as the variable whose value I want to identify these outliers by. Now, I have no idea whether those guys are actual outliers, but they're the 3 most likely candidates based on my graph.
The nice part about this, guys, is this is coding-wise.
Coding-wise, this is a pain to do.
I mean, ggplot2 would be the way I'd go about doing this particular problem, but again, it's not as simple as how he made it happen. Yeah. And the identifying of the outliers was statistics applied to this with no actual use of
Right. All I've done is type in log whatever and log whatever. Everything else has been drop-down menus and checkboxes. Now you'll notice that these are kind of cut off, right? Because these have long names. Well, I'm going to go in details. So I'm going to click the details menu now, and I'm going to fix that. And I'm going to click that first tab for attributes of scatter plot points, line, lowest, and identified points. And then I'm going to identify outliers. So what this is telling me is that it's doing something called Mahalanobis distance and identifying the points with the largest Mahalanobis distance. And it's identifying the 3 points with the largest Mahalanobis distance. Whatever that is. You guys can learn that in whatever class was teaching.
That's multivariate, man.
Yeah.
That's a 500 level statistics course.
Yeah. Yeah, so you guys don't need to know that, right? It does that all behind the scenes for you. But we want to mess with those titles, right? Because those are not good. We can't see everything. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to move position, and I'm going to move it to the left instead of to the right. And I'm going to abbreviate, and I'm going to type in the number 5. And what that is going to do is it is going to guess a sequence of 5 characters in that name that will uniquely identify it. So that top data point up there is in 300Z, which I think stands for Nissan 300Z, right? It's still relatively informative, even though it's compressed itself into 5 characters. So that's my plot. I have not done anything with R code. I'm going to show you one thing that's really cool now. In R, you guys have to do a giant mess of code to get things to look the way you want them to do, right? Especially messy, even with ggplot, when you have multiple groups, right? I've got 2 groups here, domestic and import, which means with ggplot I have to say, fill equals or call equals whatever the call equals type, and then I have to go specify every time for each group what my vector of colors is, what my vector of characters is. I have to go do that all. Rguroo, I click on level editor. I click on type, because that's the factor that I'm interested in. And then for domestic, if I click the level, I can change the color. And I can click the color box and pick the color that I want. Or if you're really daring, and you remember that color sheet that was handed out last Friday, you can type any color name that R recognizes, like goldenrod.
Medium purple 3. Use it.
Okay. So I'll click on import, and we'll do medium purple 3. And now I have domestic is goldenrod, and import is medium purple 3.
As well as the shapes.
Yeah. I can further go back and actually customize everything about those symbols. Right? So I can change which character. And instead of remembering which number goes with which character, I've got a drop down that illustrates it.
Because in last week's workshop, we gave you a reference source online. Rguroo has it all built in right there.
So I don't know, point number 12 looks interesting for domestic. And for import, I don't know, I like maybe point number 9. You could also change how big or small it is with magnification, but I don't remember what the default is on here, and I know if you put it too small, then it's going to look really silly. And you can change the transparency. So actually, I'll change this to something like that square, and I'll change the transparency to be 80% transparent. So now we've changed the type of symbol, as well as in one of them, the transparency. And so now you can actually see things overlapping each other instead of having the solid thing bump right on top of another solid thing. I can also, instead of just one least squares line, I can put in a least squares line for each group by clicking ls line by factor. And you'll see that the medium purple 3 for imports, the ls line, the least squares line, is also medium purple 3. And for domestic, the line is also goldenrod. Again, that's being a really stupid, annoying thing to see. So let me change the, let me change this to like navy. Oh, I could also type in a hex code, a 6-digit hex code if I wanted. There we go. Okay, so now that's a little bit easier to see the two lines. What if I just want domestic? Well, I could drag import down to drop level. And now I have only the domestic cars on my scatter plot. Be aware sometimes when you have data in very different places in your scatter plot, the axes may or may not change as you're dragging and dropping levels.
So it might be better to start from scratch. With the single factor.
Yeah, so if you get that and it looks weird, you can always drag it back. And it retains all the customization that you gave it as long as you didn't delete it from the drop levels box.
Do I can interrupt just to
Yeah.
see if you have any questions?
Yeah.
Guys, definitely, White's giving you a little bit to play with at this moment. But do you have any upfront questions for him before he keeps continuing? Because he's showing you a lot of good stuff.
Yeah, I'm showing a lot of stuff that would take like probably 30 to 45 minutes to talk about how to do it in R. We've done it with point and click. Yeah.
How do you determine outliers?
How do you determine outliers?
What method are you using?
We're using Mahalanobis distance because this is scatter plot. So we're basically looking at the scaled multivariate distance between the center of the data and each point. If I went into box plot, and why the heck not? I'll go into box plot and we'll car data and we'll just do, I don't know, MPG. I have no idea whether this is going to give me any outliers or not. Yeah, it gave me 2 outliers. I can go in details. And under outlier, I have this thing called range. Oh, that's something that I completely forgot to mention. A lot of these guys have little question mark boxes. If you click on them, you get help menus that pop up for you that tell you what the heck is going on. So this help menu says, select a range for outlier detection. When show is selected, meaning I want to show the outliers, not drop them or extend the whiskers all the way out to whatever the biggest and smallest points are, regardless of if they're outliers. Then it tells you how it's going to compute whether you have outliers or not. By default, we're using Tukey's rule of 1.5, which is taught in 120 and 338, I think. Right? But I could change that. I could change this to be, I don't know, twice the IQR. Okay. And now one of those guys is suddenly not an outlier and the other one still is. Or if I go back in, I can click extend, and now it doesn't care. It just goes to the maximum and minimum values of my data set, which was something that it took me about 5 minutes to figure out how to do in R.
You know what I've never done that.
Yeah.
Although I highly recommend don't change that, guys, because if you go to your classes, your
Yeah.
professors are probably going to stick to the standard 1.5.
Yeah.
But it's nice, but the whole point is you get to change things. It's so convenient.
So there's a ton more stuff to talk about. The last thing that I want to talk about is how to actually get it out of Rguroo and into whatever you actually want to do. And that, we're going to click Details and click on Image, Plot, and Figure Attributes. So this now in the image section, you can select the type of image file that you want to save it as, the width and height of the resulting file, and the resolution of the file. So I don't know, maybe I want to change this to JPEG. Okay. And now I just right-click, Save Image As, and it gives me gobbledygook, because that's Rguroo's internal way of referencing this picture.
You can also copy directly with the right click too, right?
Yeah. And I don't know, I'll just save this as test in the downloads. And if I open up my downloads folder, I now have test.jpg. And there it is. I've gotten it out of Rguroo. You could also right-click copy. That will just right-click copy, and that pastes it to clipboard, and you can save it wherever. So there's a lot of cool stuff you can do with this. Hopefully at this point I've showed you some of the customization options and some of the ways that we could actually export from Rguroo. We've got another 15, 20 minutes before we have to pack up. So we can just play around with whatever's in the Rguroo environment. The last thing that I will say is that this is new software. We are continually rolling out updates. And what that means is that there are bound to be things that we did not find that will break Rguroo. Okay, so expect to find bugs. We have a pretty decent running tally of things that we know are broken or that people wanted that we haven't been able to implement. But we're kind of 4 people beta testing right now as we're adding new features. So oftentimes the best source of bug reports is people who are actually going, I want to do this, I wasn't able to, here's why. So a lot of you have my email, some of you don't, but you have DVC email. Do you want me to just write it up?
Yeah, put Dr. Wynn's email up, because that way you can, if you do come across any problems, please, DVC wants to be able to help make the world a better place with visuals. So he actually is one of the 4 people helping writing, because there's R code being done in the background.
Yeah.
And so he's one of the people who's part of this creation. And some of the new tabulation features, that's you, correct?
Yeah, I did all the tabulation stuff. I'm not showing it right now because it's obviously not visual, but I mean, if you wanted me to go just do a very quick table, and hopefully this works. It did not work in 338 earlier. But I'm just going to do the conditional distribution of class given which type it is. And this doesn't need, no, it doesn't need any of that. Boom. Conditional distribution of class given the type it is.
So this is continually getting bigger and bigger and bigger. The amount of statistics that it's going to be able to do for you is going to be extremely helpful. But again, please, we're going to play around for a second, but I want to give a round of applause to Dr. Wynn because that was very helpful. Thank you. So in this data set, you can make some histograms, you can make bar plots on categorical data. Play around. We're going to wrap up in a little bit because tonight is bowling night, people. So right after today's meeting, we're going to head over to TSU. There's going to be pizzas, sodas, and bowling. All fun, all free. And that'll end at 9 p.m. tonight. So if you want to keep the party going, that's on you. Okay. But again, let's practice around a few things. I've already finished some of this homework got done.
Yeah, so there's a lot of stuff that you can do with this. I showed you basics of scatter plot customization. Right? Just play around with it. Most of the menus are self-explanatory, and if they're not, there are help buttons that should be.
And the tutorial videos, some of them are outdated.
Yeah.
But they are trying to update those as well. And the new manual I can't begin to tell you how useful that's gonna be. We've been asking for that, I've been asking for that, it's like, where's the man? Where's the man? Where's the man?
This student wants to reactivate, this was the email, this was the password.
Okay.
So again, we have a small group right now, we don't have somebody that's dedicated, we haven't even set up anything for. Forgot password is in the next one. So I think the person who's in charge of all the accounts was given the first meeting. The student forgot the password again. It should be, but at some point, we'll try to, in parallel, develop the user interface and the R code to do all the statistics. We're in kind of open beta right now. Yeah, so right now, there's only people at a few colleges that are interested. But at some point soon, we're gonna have the option for anybody to request an account. And then at some point, going to be out of open beta, but we'll be in open beta for a while. I think the idea is once we get out of open beta, we want to make it a subscription based, but we want to put the subscription fee at the level that students know. We don't want to do what a lot of these softwares do, which is they price themselves out of the academic. So, yeah, something like that. Right. So, yeah, many is not priced itself out of the academic. Like students can still use it, but if you get to something like SAS or MATLAB, it's like the only people who have that anymore are the professors who have it. There's no option for outside of a small student subscription that doesn't have full functionality. There's no option for you to actually get into these programs. When did I start this?
Were you on it as inception or?
No. This thing was about 3 years of development before it even went on public service. So yeah, there's actually a lot of code that needs to be cleaned up on the back end. Dr. Jim started it with a software engineer. And they collaborated on the basic design. And now, so I started writing the help stuff a year and a half ago, and started doing the coding all the time. Yeah.
Okay, one thing in general, touch base, because I know I've actually had this confusion before too, is this save as button?
Oh yeah.
Well, it's not the save to your file, it's the save to your, remember how everything's stored in Rguroo, your data sets? So when you save a figure, it's going to save it in the plotting section.
Yeah.
So you can pull up this picture again. It's not going to save it to your desktop. The way to save it to your desktop, like Dr. Wynn was saying, is you have to right click.
No, for these tabulation reports and the analytical reports, there's an even easier way. You click the PDF, you tell it, yes, I would like to allow pop-ups, and you have a PDF of your report.
Yes, allow pop-ups with this program, because if you don't allow pop-ups, you're not going to get anything. I've also had that problem.
Yeah. So graphs, you do have to set the type of file that you want and then export from the browser. With the analytic reports, you can just click the I want to PDF this.
It's in the PDF is in the tabulation in the which one?
Anything in the analytics section, you can PDF.
Not that, not data.
And I wasn't going to get into the created a data set for tabulation. It's complicated, but there's a logic behind how it's.
Very expressive. Oh. How do you get a basics?
No, it's
Talk about a head speaker or? Oh, now I see
It's
it.
got a ladybug tail.
So in the details, right?
Cartoon characters.
Oh, that's to put in your own function. So if you put add function,
That's my
type
can.
like x+1.
I got mine.
I have no idea what it's going to do, but we can try to preview it. What's your x-axis? Oh, that's fine. Do like x over alpha.
I let you know this for a non-statistician.
Not plus
they
over,
would do a lot of stuff. This would get things done.
So now you see you have that line in it, right? So that's a method for putting in custom functions.
So
Normal curve and density curve, one click, but if you want something more advanced, you write it yourself.
Oh my gosh. So I'm still probably gonna be in the.
So then if you wanted to change the, that's, you want to change it back to density. Right now it's showing the estimated density. And it's scaled up.
Is it raised in between?
Yeah, oh yeah.
So now, it's hard to see because you can hit yellow. It makes sense. Like I said, I'm one of several. It's not a big team, but the first two people started it. That do advanced stats for the people who just do the other people who just take cross odds. So you can also, it's hard to see, there's some shows the background. So this tells you, how I want to save it, but I can show the background. I'm not 100% sure. But now you've changed the background. So now you can actually see that red.
Not that it's impressive, but I can show you what I mean.
There's actually some fairly complicated stuff going on behind the scenes